UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I'm your intrepid host, Ellie Marzulli. I've been following this whole UFO trail for literally decades. I saw my first UFO when I was 12 years old. I don't go looking for them. I had a gentleman contact me the other day, and he's out there in the night sky looking for stuff. Don't do that, folks. Trust me, don't do it, because these are interdimensional entities, and the more attention you give them, trust me, you don't want them in your life. I don't go looking for. So we'll get into this. This is with Paulina Luna, and I think you'll find this interesting in just a little bit. First, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Folks, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember, the best gift you can give isn't under the tree. It's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers. Peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Get your free wealth protection kit today. Once again, noblegoldinvestments.com. As we wrap up 2025, we know that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan. It is a gamble. Folks, noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Before I start rolling the interview with Paulina Luna, just a couple of things here. We're looking for an entertainment lawyer. We've got a lot of films, and they're just sitting around. Yeah, they're on our site, streaming at lemarzulli.net. And thank you for your patronage. Thank you for watching these. We spent a lot of time on these films. Gil Zimmerman and I created 10 films on the whole UFO phenomena, and we're trying to get this at Netflix and Prime Video and other places. So if you know someone who can do that, if you're an entertainment lawyer, please shoot me an email, la@lemarzulli.net. Thank you so much. So let's roll this, and I will comment, of course, like I always do, as we walk through the video. Here we go.
Joining us now for more Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna. It's been a busy day, Congresswoman. Good to see you. At this point,
nice to see you too.
Who are these people who are still blocking the truth from the public?
Well, to our knowledge, it is definitely members of the intelligence community. And then also, too, we were recently denied access out of the Department of War, stating that we didn't have access and the proper, need to know authorities to look at some of the classified footage that is out there. As you saw in that clip that you just showed, there's actually some footage that was dead dropped to Eric Burleson, of which he then provided it to the task force. And so all I have to say is, look, in the interest of national security and national defense, obviously this is something that we should question and look to find answers for, but also it also signifies a massive problem when you have elements within our own government that are denying access to Congress. And this is not just a bipartisan effort. This is bicameral, meaning the House and the Senate are both supporting this, both Democrats and Republicans. It's probably one of the few things that is bipartisan. And actually this week, I think it's going to be on this upcoming week on the 17th, there's going to be a movie coming out called The Age of Disclosure, of which Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in there talking about this exact topic. And I think everyone should watch it.
Let me stop right there. So here's the deal. In my very first book, Nephilim, The Truth is Here, which was, I wrote that for Zondervan, but I want to thank the folks at Zondervan for basically publishing that book. But in that book, I talked about the fact of, national security, the NSA, all that. And so this is the way the game is played. But it was a novel, but it was sourced, that information in the novel came from research. So basically what we see are non-elected officials in the NSA and other branches of government, which basically put the kibosh on this whole thing and just go, no, you don't have a need to know. You don't need to see this. Keep moving, because in 4 years you're going to be reelected, or someone will come in your place, I should say. You'll lose your position, and we'll deal with some new people, and they're not going to care. And this is the problem. And I keep harping on this over and over and over again. Who are these people? I mean, is everything under that blanket, of national security? Everything? Everything. I mean, that's if you don't want people to see something, all you have to do is pull that card out, and that's it, isn't it? And no one ever gets to the bottom of this. I have said this, and I will say it again, because I know that people in Washington, and I'm not trying to pump myself up here, but I know the channel is watched. I mean, seriously, it is, and I know that, and that's good. We're the only Christian ministry with 10 films on the UFO phenomena. Let's start there. We actually went to the debris field and got a piece of metal out of the debris field. We've had it tested. So that's real research on our part. I think of a cattle mutilation film, the darkest film I've ever worked on, where we sat down, Gil Zimmerman and I sat down with Rancher Miller, and on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the fear factor? Maybe an 8, which what he's saying is a 10. I think he lost 16 head of cattle in 20 years. And get this, and this is all in the film, there's a 2-lane highway in front of his house. It's as straight as an arrow, slight uphill, and I've talked about this before. I think they've had 12 fatalities in that 1 mile stretch. That's impossible. Statistically, the odds of that, something else is going on here. Of course, the cattle mutilations and everything else. And if you have not watched that film, honestly, get prayed up before you watch it. You can check it out by streaming at elliomarzulli.net. But here's the deal. We don't know what's going on. The American people have a right to know. I would suggest that Donald J. Trump create a task force. And in that task force, you would have the best of the best of the best. Marines, SEAL Team 6, I mean, the whole gamut. And you split them up. 250 of them go to Wright-Patterson, another 250 go to Area 51. They have a legal document, an executive order from our president stating, open it up. We want to see what you got here. There are congressmen and congresswomen who are embedded with the 250. And you also have the press because, national security. I mean, how long does this go on for? Obviously, if it's high tech and we're creating something like at Livermore Lab or wherever, I mean, I get that. Fine, great. But everything is under national security. Oh, nothing to see here. Nonsense. What is going on in Area 51? The American people have a right to know. How was it supported? Black ops? Black budget? Who knows? Who knows? There is a shadow government. There was a secret government. And people like, and Paulina Luna run up against this all the time. Where, oh, no, you don't have a need to see this. Well, who are you? Well, I'm an unelected official, but I've been here longer than you are. I've been here for 25 years. And, we're not going to let you look at anything. By the way, the video on the right-hand side of the screen shows the UFO that was glowing. And this is what we think. This is conjecture, but it's based on, some of it anyway, on what Bob Lazar and other people have talked about. When the craft turns on the gravity wave, it lights up. And so it's not an orb that you're seeing. What you're seeing is a metallic craft moving, but because it's bending space and time, it's lit up. Conjecture? Yeah, I get that, but that's what I think is going on. Okay, let's continue. So, there's always, she's up against it. And, she might not get elected in the next round. Who knows? Then a new group of people who are not interested in UFOs, And so it just goes on and on and on and on. The only way to get to the bottom of it, an executive order, 250 go to Wright-Pat, 250 go to Area 51, S4. Do you realize that as far as I know, no standing, sitting, or no sitting president, standing or sitting for that matter, has ever been allowed in the Area 51. Now, Nixon may have gone in there because of what Jackie Gleason said. That's it. Let's continue.
Ask you about that, and I will. You're on the record talking about, quote, non-human life forms that could be interdimensional beings who are visiting us. Can you just explain more to people at home what that might mean?
Yeah, so that's definitely a mouthful, but that is directly based on information that we've received from witnesses, also information that we have obtained and witnessed via our investigations. There's some stuff that I can't disclose of what I have immediately seen in some of these skiffs, but what I will tell you is this is not just some crazy conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's been massive reporting, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is something that I think everyone kind of, has always had some curiosity about. We're just simply asking the questions.
And it feels like we're building towards some sort of disclosure. I know many people are hoping that Donald Trump is president and that he's ultimately the person that allows that to happen. We just had the acting NASA.
Okay, I want to show you something. Look at the right side of your screen here. Right about here. Watch this UFO go screaming across. Here we go. Check it out.
Obviously, there's been massive launch running, not just in the United States, but around the world. Also, think this is something that I separately going to share investigations. There's some stuff that I can't disclose of what I have immediately seen in some of these skiffs, but what I will tell you is, Roger Lucas, it's not just some crazy conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's been massive reporting, not just in the United States, but around the world. And this is something that I...
So, what we're looking at here is a skiff, and she can't say this, and sources. I mean, I wonder whether any of our films have even, been shown to Paulina Luna. I mean, if they're watching, we did send some stuff up, and I'm sure it got buried, but I've never been contacted. And, I'm not looking for anything. I don't want anything. We're blessed beyond measure. I'm up to here. So I don't need any more nonsense. But what I will tell you is, as a UFO investigator, and it's funny how she, interdimensional beings, and she basically just sidestepped the question. So we talk about it here in our abduction film. Thank you, Gil Zimmerman. But we sat down with 4 abductees, 2 men, 2 women. We know there's a breeding program. It hails back to the Genesis 3:15 narrative. It also ties into Daniel 2:43. I'm not making this stuff up. And, for the skeptic out there, this was written. The Daniel 2:43 scenario is written thousands of years ago. And it basically is talking about end times. How do we know that? Because the angel tells Daniel, seal up the words of the book. So the book is sealed. So you can read it till the cows come home, but you won't understand it. And then he gives us the overview. He gives us what I call a supernatural bone of what it's actually going to look like at the last days. And he goes, seal up the words of the book till the time of the end. So are we in the time of the end? And the angel goes, men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth, knowledge will increase. Okay. 2:43, right? Daniel 2:43. So what are we looking at here? If you were to track on a graph from the time Daniel gets that message to the Industrial Revolution, it's flatline, folks. Nothing changes. The mode of transportation is a horse or a chariot. You write with an ink and a quill, and that's it. There are no ballpoint pens. There are no goofy iPhones. That's not there. No siree. The technology that we're using right now to come into your home doesn't exist. 150 years ago, nothing of this exists. The angel tells us that men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth, knowledge will increase. Well, as I'm speaking, men and women are running to and fro over the face of the earth. Knowledge increases exponentially. And in some ways, it's with the advent of AI, we no longer know what is truth, what is fabricated. So when Paulina says these are interdimensional beings, but then sidesteps the question and doesn't answer it, what is she referring to? These are fallen angels. Going back to the book of Daniel, seal up the words. And this is what he says. Men and women will run to and fro over the face of the earth. Their seed, there are 2 different chapters, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Who are they? It goes back to the Genesis 3:15 narrative. This is why it's so important, thank you, Elder Brother Gary Stearman, to have the proper exegesis, the proper understanding of Genesis 3:15. Because if you don't get that, if we don't understand that, when we get into Daniel, we have no idea what he's talking about. Whose seed will mingle with the seed of men? Cleave. Thank you, Jim Williams said. There's no marriage contract. They just take what they want. That's exactly what we see in our 4th film on abductions. The men are taken against their will. The women are taken. The men sometimes are implanted. And all sorts of medical issues ensue. You can keep Karen Wilkinson in your prayers. In fact, keep all 4 of these people. Keep Emil in your prayers. Keep Al in your prayers. Angela and Karen. And thank you, folks, for coming. Thank you, the 4 of you guys, for coming on the record. And Al Matthews says it very succinctly. These are not ours at the end of the film. These are not our space brothers. They have a very nefarious agenda. And for those on the other side of the aisle who think that these are the return of the Anunnaki or our space brothers or our progenitors, think again. This is the coming great deception. The biblical prophetic narrative warns us of it. Jesus warns us of it. I mean, how many times do I have to say this? I mean, I repeat it because new people come here all the time, and you need to hear it. Men faint for fearful is coming upon the earth. It's not from the earth. It's not under the earth. It's coming from upon the earth. Look up the Greek word. Jesus's own admonition to us. Men and women will faint from fearful is coming upon the earth. Dire words. Okay, let's continue.
Everyone kind of, has always had some curiosity about. We're just simply asking the questions now.
And it feels like we're building towards some sort of disclosure. I know many people are hoping that Donald Trump is president.
Let me stop right there. So he's saying, and it seems like we're building to some sort of disclosure. Absolutely. Why would the Pope talk about baptizing aliens? We talked about that last week. Why is Avi Loeb on all sorts of media talking about a black swan event? In other words, something that no one prepared for. Gee, alien disclosure? Then he's telling you about a Trojan horse. I mean, and Three Eye Atlas, from what I'm garnering the last couple of days, is a comet. It's not an interstellar ship. But why would he come out and say this, right? And then on top of that, you get the film, which I highly recommend it. Go see it. It's on Netflix. House of Dynamite. It talks about a nuclear event, a supersonic nuclear missile being fired from an unknown host. It's not the North Koreans, the Chicoms, the Pakistanis, the Russians, the Iranians. Nobody knows where this thing's coming from. It's headed towards where? The heartland, Chicago. Are you kidding me? 10 million people will die. I have been saying this for years, that a nuclear event is the trigger, because that creates the greatest climate of fear that mankind has ever experienced collectively. That's when they're going to show up. That's conjecture, but that's what I think. So yeah, we are headed towards disclosure. The book, Rungs of Disclosure, has 17 rungs. And really, the 16th rung is the last rung that I wrote about. And that is, scientists say Earth needs to prepare for an alien encounter now. And in that chapter, I go, well, who are these scientists? And how do we prepare for the alien encounter? Start wearing tinfoil hats? I mean, seriously? It's laughable. So on runsofdisclosure.com, we're up to run number 23. You can go there and watch the videos where I'm reporting on all this stuff so you can stay up to date. Runsofdisclosure.com. It's coming, folks. It's coming. The question is the church here? Do we go up and then they show up? Is there a nuclear event which creates the greatest climate of fear? Everything is shut down. Then they show up and they'll tell us we created all life on this planet. We genetically manipulated early man's DNA. We started the world's civilizations. We started the world's religions. Now, at this critical juncture in human history, the Anunnaki, we're back to usher mankind into a golden age. The New Agers are dancing up and down. Yay! That's what they want. That's what they've been promulgating for decades. The ancient astronaut theorists, every Friday night on Ancient Aliens, has been putting that forth over 15 years? 15 years, whatever it is. I was on the first 2 seasons. They won't touch me with the 10-foot pole. I'm on the opposite side of the aisle than they are. These are not extraterrestrials. They're not, Anunnaki. They're not, because Anunnaki, in my opinion, and we had Heather Lynn, I think a little over a week ago, she's written a book. We talked about her book, The Anunnaki Connection, and she's a Christian. Isn't that interesting? And, she realizes that something else is going on here, that these are probably the Watchers. In fact, that's the last word in her book. These are the Watchers, and they are here. Make no mistake about it. They are interacting with us all the time. So I think disclosure is imminent. I'm not a date setter. I have no idea. But we are ramping up. The book only has 17 rungs, but the last rung is the end game, which is my conjecture. I weigh in. We're up to run number 23, runsofdisclosure.com. Let's continue.
And that he's ultimately the person that allows that to happen. We just had the acting NASA administrator and transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, on this show moments ago. And I asked him about this, what they're calling a comet, Three Eye Atlas. Take a listen to his response.
The experts at NASA have said, this is a comet. It walks like a comet, talks like a comet, struts like a comet. It's a comet. I know some people have said, listen, there's alien life on here, or that at one point they said it was going to hit the Earth. Not true, but it is a fascinating comet. There's no, you're going to say, you mentioned Kim Kardashian, so I wanted to clarify that. No, the Darby did. They did. All right.
So, Congresswoman, NASA has yet to release the photos. They're releasing other photos every day. They blame the shutdown. They've yet to release the photos. Do you buy that from Sean Duffy?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had a conversation with NASA because I was helping Avi Loeb, who's actually a Harvard astrophysicist who's been looking into this for some time.
Right.
And remember, this is going to be one of many objects that we're going to be getting through that are interstellar because of the technology that we have now. So there are some anomalies about the comet, like, for example, it lost its tail, which is pretty much one of the first that we've ever seen. But I do believe that it's a passing through comet. And so I don't think that we are going to have any contact with any non-human intelligence yet. But it's, the ruling's still out there on what this is. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically it. It's the American people have a right to know. And we know that there's so much footage out there. I mean, a preponderance of evidence. I believe that the Roswell crash, and we have 2 films on Roswell, the Roswell crash was not a weather balloon, not back-engineered Nazi tech. It was exactly what Walter G. Hott said in his deathbed confession. You can go online, you can read it for yourself. It's in our film. Thank you, Gil Zimmerman. We spent a lot of time on these films, but right here. And that's a piece of metal that we dug out of the ground. Chuck Zukowski has stated that we're the only film company ever on record to actually film a piece of the debris coming up out of the ground. Remember, the Roswell incident is a skip site. The craft comes in like this, it hits the ground, and it skips, and then lands 16, 17 miles later. Where it lands is where the bodies were. Okay, what Jesse Marcel Sr. saw was the first where it skipped. That's where the debris is, the wreckage. It's all over the place. And, how many witnesses have to come forward? Walter G. Hott said that the bodies were under retard when he went into Hangar 84. In our film, we're filming in Hangar 84. How does that happen? Favor of the Lord. We were supposed to be there, no doubt. We were supposed to find the metal, and we did. And we did. That day we found 2 pieces of metal. And just so you know, this is how they play the game. They take these 12-inch spikes right here, and they pound them into the terrain at the debris site. So if you go over the metal detector, what you'll find is this. What you'll find is this. But Frank Kindler and Chuck Zukowski knew. They kind of figured, well, let's go outside that field, which is what they did. And we found 2 pieces of metal that day. So that day I got the spike, and then Chuck Zukowski sent me a piece of the metal a little later. We have had the metal analyzed, and it's a aluminum alloy, but it's right in between 2 known aluminum alloys. So we don't know what it is. More testing needs to be done. We are looking for an electrical engineer, because what we want to do is take this and put an electrical current through it and see what happens. So if you could help with that, la@ellemarzulli.net. Once again, we are looking for a showrunner, for an entertainment lawyer to try to move this information out to a broader audience. That's it. UFOs are real burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming great deception. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another show.